السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أسعد الله صباحكم جميعا بكل خير. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start by welcoming our distinguished speakers and to thank them very much for their participation with us in a crucial time in Saudi Arabia, that Saudi Arabia is going through a huge development effort embodied in Vision 2030 and also reflected in hosting the G20 this year. We are now in Saudi Arabia entering the international arena much stronger and increasingly stronger because Vision 2030 involves investments and capital flow either to the country or from the country in the international investment field. So the accounting standards and the accounting profession is actually, in this concept, a major facilitator and a major tool and a major enabler to achieve our visions. It is my honor to be with this highly distinguished panel, top of their field, giants in their field, leaders of the accounting profession worldwide. The presence of these 5 highly distinguished speakers representing their organizations represent the interaction and the synergy in the world now that no player alone can dominate an area. So there's a synergy and interaction and partnership along all these organizations. I was supposed to present a bio for each of the distinguished speakers. When I looked at it, I thought the best thing is not to introduce, because they are top of their fields, well known in their fields. Before even joining the field, they were top in their other fields, either ministers of governments or chairmen of boards, or very varied experience, all of them. So I would ask them to excuse me for not presenting their bios, because it is in the internet of their organization, and at the same time, I believe everybody in the field knows who are our distinguished leaders. Please, I will give the floor to each of our distinguished speakers, 10 to 12 minutes maximum, and we will be left with 20-25 minutes maybe for Q&A. With this, I would like to start. I'll go by the roll. So I'll ask Chairman Hogar first to start.
Thank you very much, sir.
I skip Dr. Ahmed because he's...
Yes,
so
he's very well known here.
Yeah, I'll
Yes.
start.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly a great pleasure for me to be here. I first came to Saudi Arabia 2 years ago, and even in those 2 years, I can see how quickly your country is changing. I would also like to thank SOCPA, and especially my dear friend Ahmed, for excellent cooperation that we have. We know our friends at SOCPA as highly competent officials, professionals, and they have established a truly excellent track record in strengthening the Saudi accounting profession. And moreover, SOCPA has played a very important role in showing the Islamic world that IFRS standards can be applied to Islamic finance transactions. And finally, SOCPA also plays an important role in the translation of our standards to Arabic. So thank you for all that. For those who are not familiar with our work, the ISB is a global standard setter responsible for making international financial reporting standards, IFRS. We are based in London, only 150 staff from 40 nationalities. Basically, adoption of IFRS is based on good economics. As you know, the capital markets around the world are globally interconnected, and in that globalized capital market, it makes little sense for countries to develop their own accounting languages. It just creates confusion. And IFRS provides an off-the-shelf solution to this problem by providing a single common set of high-quality accounting standards. And we work with stakeholders around the world to ensure that IFRS can be applied basically in any economic situation. So here you see, since the ISB began its work in 2001, so less than 20 years ago, we have seen more than 140 countries around the world adopting IFRS, including 3/4 of the G20, which is currently hosted by Saudi Arabia. And yes, as you can see in this particular slide, the Middle East is the first region in the world where all jurisdictions comply with IFRS, where they have adopted our standards. And I also believe that particularly for Saudi Arabia, IFRS adoption was an important decision to support the kingdom's financial sector development plan, which sets out to ensure the formation of an advanced capital market. Adopting IFRS means that the financial statements prepared by Saudi companies are entirely understandable for investors around the world, wherever they may live. And I believe that means that the kingdom is very well placed to further its status as a major regional capital market in this region. So why is there such strong international support for IFRS? We believe that is because our standards bring transparency, they bring accountability, and they bring efficiency to capital markets around the world. So transparency comes from enhancing the international comparability and quality of our financial information, enabling investors around the world to make good economic decisions on where to put their capital. And the essence of accounting is to strengthen accountability by reducing the gap in information between the companies who took money from investors and those investors who entrusted their money to the company. So they help those on the outside to hold those on the inside of the company to account. And that is extremely important in capital markets, where basically almost everybody is working with other people's money. And it's also a very important tool for regulators who need reliable information to do their job properly. And also, it was said in the previous panel, IFRS standards contribute to economic efficiency, and they do that by helping investors to invest better their capital, but also by just providing ease of doing business for companies that have subsidiaries around the world. Your vision of transforming the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia into the world's largest sovereign wealth fund with an increasing amount of international assets is also helped by the adoption of IFRS standards around the world. You could really not do that properly without an international language. So, as many of you know, in recent years, the ISB has issued many big, important standards that really made fundamental changes to the way companies account for financial instruments, for revenue, and leases. And I am sure that many of you sitting here have been kept very busy with the adoption of these standards. And we have also issued a new insurance contract standards, which will come into effect in 2022. It is going to completely change the insurance business, which currently has very outdated accounting in many parts of the world, and a complete lack of transparency. The introduction of IFRS 22 will show that in many countries the insurance industry is much less healthy than the current accounting shows. Much of our current work focuses much more on improving presentation and disclosure of information. And one of the most important projects on our work plan is our primary financial statements project. The main purpose of this project is to provide better formatting and structure in the financial statements, especially in the income statement. Currently, IFRS is rather form-free. You basically do what you want. Between revenue and profit or loss, we do not define anything. But companies like subtotals and investors like subtotals. So what do? They invent their own, and those subtotals, also called non-GAAP, are not comparable at all. So our solution is that we are going to introduce new subtotals, one of which is operating profit, the most widely used subtotal in the world. Huge diversity in practice. We looked at 100 companies and they used at least 9 different versions of operating profit. Nobody can figure it out. So very difficult for investors to make many meaningful comparisons of this very important subtotal. Investors say they do like non-GAAP measures, that they can be useful, but that there is not enough transparency around them. So that's what we are going to provide as well. If companies continue to use non-GAAP measures, their own subtotals, we will require them to put them in a single note in the financial statements and to include a reconciliation of that subtotal to the nearest IFRS subtotal, so that investors can see exactly what the differences are. So it will make the information easier to find for investors and provide more discipline around these numbers. It will also bring these numbers in the sphere of audit, which will also improve discipline. Our package of proposals will give better information to investors, bring more transparency and discipline around the use of non-GAAP, and will also help facilitate better quality digital data. Very important, as you know, that more and more financial information is produced and consumed digitally. The final topic I just want to discuss briefly is our work on what we call our management commentary project. Management commentary provides the context to the financial statements. We have always acknowledged as IASB that much financially relevant information escapes the financial statements. For example, intangibles, technology, very important, but cannot be adequately included in the financial statements. Forward-looking information, also very important. The financial statements are backward-looking, so they cannot be included. And we have therefore already in 2010 created a management commentary practice statement. And that's basically a guide for companies as to how to write the annual report. And we are currently working on an update of that management commentary practice statement for 2 important reasons. First of all, we live in an economy where intangible assets such as technology and the business model are becoming increasingly important and really determine much of the value of a company. So we will try to give more guidance on how to report on intangible resources and relationships. And finally, the whole world is talking about sustainability, and I think for good reasons. There's a heightened interest in these issues, and our management commentary practice statement is currently completely silent on this issue, so it needs to be updated for this increasingly important area. So let me stop here just by saying that we will also start a consultation on our future agenda for the next 5 years very shortly. I will step down as chairman of the IASB after 10 years in 2021, so that work will be completed by my successor. But I think it is very important that you look at what our future agenda should be and that you give your input in the process. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman Ugar Vorst, for this insightful presentation, especially when you linked that to our Vision 2030. We really appreciate this. Thank you very much. And now I would like Professor Ju, the President of the International Federation of Accountants, to present his speech.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you again for inviting me here at this magnificent conference. Yesterday, I participated in that opening ceremony. It was very impressive. It's well managed, and most of all, I was very much impressed by that three ministers: Minister of Education, Minister of Labor, Minister of Commerce, and the Chairman of Capital Market Authority came up on the stage and talk about how to enhance, promote a professional accountancy in Saudi Arabia. That's very amazing and very impressive. And congratulations for that CPA. For that, you have some national support for your future growth. And this is my first time in Saudi Arabia. And I thought Saudi Arabia is hot and dry. But actually, for the last few days, I experienced four seasons every day. Spring in the morning, and summer in the midday, and autumn in the afternoon, and winter in the evening. And that's a glorious weather in Riyadh is more dynamic than the weathers of most other countries. People say that dynamic weather trains people to deal with the dynamic and ever-changing environment. I'm sure this dynamic weather makes Saudi Arabia wonderfully prepared for the fast, ever-changing environment in business today and ready to take on Vision 2030. I'd like to now walk you through that IFAC's mission and activities, and I hope to show you how we think they will become of the future of accountancy profession and what we are going to do to make this future positive for all of us. As you see on the map, that we have more than 175 member organizations from more than 130 countries, and through these 175 member organizations, we have 3 million professional accountants around the world. If you take a look at the map, you can see areas of potential improvement in some parts of the Middle East and Northern Africa. We'd like to make this region green in the near future, and with your collaborations, we would particularly enjoy SOCPA's leadership in this endeavor. IFAC's mission. With our member organizations, we serve the public interest by supporting international standards, preparing future-ready profession, and speaking out as the global voice of the profession. International standards. International standards are a pillar of the global financial system. We are supporting transparent, high-quality international standards. We also facilitate adoption and implementation of international standards by promoting the SMOs to our member organizations in order to provide higher quality financial information to investors and to the public. It will result in greater accountability and more stable economic growth. A good public-private governance model is critical in the sense that it will ensure that international standards are adopted and implemented in the public interest without undue political or commercial interference. Through the effort of IFAC and its members, Many jurisdictions we surveyed have made significant progress in adopting international standards and best practices. About 91% have adopted the International Financial Reporting Standard for all or almost public interest entities, and 98% of members have established strong investigative and disciplinary systems. I visited SOCPA 2 days ago, and I was very much impressed by their sound and strong investigative and disciplinary system. Middle East and North Africa region has done well, but Saudi Arabia stands alone as a model in the region, and as IFAC tracks its 2019 Global Status Report. We are expecting Saudi Institute, SOCPA, to take a leadership role in expediting adoption and implementation of international standards in this region. Future-ready profession. Professional accountants need to respond to economic and technological shift by redefining their roles and contributions to society. They need to think big, not just about doing things differently, but about doing different things. To advance future-ready profession, professional accountancy organizations, with IFAC's support, work to frequently review and refresh their competency frameworks so that their members gain relevant skills, focus on education, and offer mid-career accountants more and better professional development programs. Recently, IFAC has worked with its members and partners, donating partners, to establish and develop training and qualification programs in Rwanda, Uganda, and Nigeria. Voice of the profession. We speak out as the voice of the global accountancy profession. We have recently released points of view on enhanced corporate reporting, corruption and money laundering, and climate change. We also run media campaigns from traditional press to social media to promote profession's achievement across the world. Each year, IFAC issues a call to action to G20 countries with recommendations for action to create a fair and empowered digital economy, smarter regulation, strengthen the governance, and enhance the public sector financial management and environment for small, medium-sized enterprise for growth and inclusiveness. As accountants are trusted professionals in both the public and the private sector, we aim to harness the profession's reputation to address several critical issues, including first, fighting against fraud and corruption. The cost of fraud and corruption is at least $2.6 trillion globally, or 5% of global GDP every year. International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants published Code of Ethics that promote and embodies the profession's commitment to integrity and transparency. IFAC facilitates our member organizations to adopt and implement the Code of Ethics. The Code of Ethics is at the heart of our profession, and it separates us from other professions. Our research shows that a higher percentage of accountants in the workforce strongly correlates to better outcomes in fighting against fraud and corruption. Second, promoting the good tax practice. 2019 G20 Trust in Tax Survey shows that people continue to have a highest level of trust in professional tax accountants and professional tax lawyers. Most people believe the role of professional accountants contribute to better tax systems by making them more efficient, that is 57%, more effective, that is 56%, and more fair, 51%. As trusted professionals, we can and must help in confronting tax evasion, transnational tax policy dispute, and the citizens' concerns about opacity, complexity, inequity in tax systems. IFAC has issued a good practice guide to support our member bodies in providing guidance to their members in applying Code of Ethics when providing tax advice. Third, sustainability. Deadline for the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goals is fast approaching, and many countries are falling behind. IFAC has identified 8 out of 17 SDGs where we can make a big difference. IFAC committed to work with the global profession to build knowledge and capacity of accountants to meet the Sustainable Development Goals. Climate change is serious, threat is immediate. Professional accountants can support climate action by advocating for smart, stronger regulation, more useful disclosure, and market-based initiatives and incentives for emissions reductions. IFAC actually hosted the event last year for International Climate Week in Manhattan. Fourth, corporate reporting. Our current reporting system is fragmented. IFAC is taking an initiative on enhanced corporate reporting, which is also called integrated reporting. Corporate reporting should show not only the financial performance, but how it has been achieved. It should also show the organization's strategies of sustainability. Integrated reporting enables integrated thinking, which fosters organizational change, focusing on the broader, longer-term value creation. IFAC hosted a meeting of International Integrated Reporting Council last year in Manhattan, New York. Global engagement. In speaking clearly as the voice of accountancy profession at the global level, we focused on 2 big highest-level policy-making institutions, G20 and the OECD. B20 is the official business engagement forum for G20, and Saudi is hosting the G20 and B20 this year in Riyadh. This is a significant moment for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. IFAC participated in the inception event earlier this month in Riyadh, and it was a great event, and the B20 Secretariat should be proud. IFAC has been a network partner for B20 for several years. IFAC is also a participant on 2 of this year's 6 task forces, integrity and compliance, and finance and infrastructure. Business at OECD. Business at OECD is the official business engagement forum for the OECD. IFAC is a member of Antitrust, Corporate Governance, and Digitalization Working Group, and frequently policy recommendations from the G20 are mandated to the OECD. Recently, IFAC CEO Kevin Dancy spoke at the 2019 OECD Trust in Business Forum. What is coming for IFAC? In February, we are going to have a Chief Executive Forum. In Chief Executive Forum, we are inviting 40 most developed PAOs to Executive Forum, and we will talk about our IFAC strategy and the building network and share the information. And of course, SOCPA is also invited to the Chief Executive Forum. we are going to have IFAC, ISASB, IASBA, IWSB board meetings in March. And also we are going to have international panel on accountancy education in March as well. We have a lot of publications and statements. Particularly, IFAC is preparing a report on challenges specific to MENA region and peers there. MENA means Middle East and Northern Africa. Report will highlight the successful practices that could be replicated throughout the region, and we are expecting CPA, SOCPA, is taking a leadership role in promoting and advancing professional accountancy in the region. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Zhu, for this insightful summary of IFAC and its activities. And I would like to mention that Saudi Arabia has participated in many of IFAC's activities. I mentioned, for example, International Auditing Standard 265, which is communicating deficiencies in internal control to those charged with governance and management. There was a Saudi member in the committee that drafted that standard, and it was very insightful and very useful and very interactive process, which shows that the standards actually are not dictated to anybody. You could always participate in shaping these standards by several means. Thank you so much. I would like now to ask Dr. Ahmed Al-Mughamis, after permission of our other two distinguished speakers, to be the middle speaker. So then we'll have the honor of listening to the other presentation.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أولا عذرا على الإزعاج اللي قاعد يصير في ورش العمل. هناك 4 ورش عمل ممتلئة حتى الآخر، فاليوم كأننا في خلية نحل، ففي كل مكان تجد محاسب مستمتع بهذه الفعاليات، فتحملوا معنا هذا. نعتبر أن البعض قد يعتبر إزعاجا، نعتبره كأنه ميوزك لأذاني. سأتكلم اليوم عن ما يسمى نيو سوكبا، الهيئة السعودية للمحاسبين القانونيين. فقط بنتظر العرض. اخت مشاعل. طيب، العنوان أو الكتاب يقرأ من عنوانه: التحول من الهيئة السعودية للمحاسبين القانونيين إلى الهيئة السعودية للمراجعين والمحاسبين المهنيين، من خلال تطوير نظام المحاسبين. ينقسم إلى قسمين: نظام مهنة المحاسبة والمراجعة، وتنظيم الهيئة السعودية للمراجعين والمحاسبين المهنيين. تطوير الهيكل التنظيمي للهيئة وفقا لأفضل الممارسات العالمية. تحديث الهيئة لتصبح جهة مهنية لجميع المحاسبين والمراجعين للمساهمة بشكل فعال في اقتصاد المملكة. وكذلك في النهاية إعداد خطة استراتيجية لتتواكب مع رؤية المملكة 2030. حقيقة منهجية التحول استعنا بدراسة بالمستشار المعهد الإنجليزي اللي هو Institute of Chartered Accountants في إنجلند وويلز. درس معنا قضية كيف نتحول أو نطور من أعمال الهيئة حتى تكون مواكبة لرؤية 2030. أمامكم الخطوات التي تمت لانتهاء أو للقيام بعملية التحول. كذلك استعنا بمقارنة بعدد من الجهات المهنية في عدد من الدول العالمية، منها ماليزيا وهولندا وسنغافورة وأيضا تونس والمملكة المتحدة والولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. أيضا هذه كلها تم الاطلاع على تجاربهم في إنشاء الهيئات المهنية. تعاوننا أو تواصلنا مع أصحاب العلاقة كما هو أمامكم. أصحاب العلاقة الجهات المهنية واللجان الدولية والمعاهد المهنية ومجلس الإدارة، وأيضا مثل ما هو مذكور أمامكم بعض من المعاهد والجهات المهنية. كذلك تواصلنا مع أصحاب العلاقة من الجهات الحكومية، وزارة التجارة، هيئة الزكاة، وزارة العمل، وزارة العدل، وغيرها من الجهات المهنية. كذلك تواصلنا مع الجامعات، جميع الجامعات والكليات الحكومية والخاصة أيضا التي تدرس تخصص المحاسبة والمالية. كذلك هناك التواصل الدائم مع مكاتب المحاسبة بأنواعها الصغير والكبير، وكذلك أيضا محاسبي القطاع الخاص ومحاسبين القطاع العام. وأخيرا أيضا تواصلنا مع المستفيدين من خدمات الهيئة، وهم الأهم عندنا، ألا وهم المتقدمين لاختبارات الزمالة واختبارات المهن الأخرى، والمتقدمين لبرامج التسجيل المهني. تبين لنا من دراسة الوضع الحالي هناك نقص وضعف في بعض الأعمال التي تقوم بها الهيئة، وليس معنى أن الهيئة لا تقوم بها الأعمال، ولكن جزء من الدراسة أن نعرف أين مستوانا من حيث برامج الجودة، من حيث العضوية، من حيث النجاح في الزمالة ونسب النجاح، كذلك من ناحية موارد الهيئة والهيكل التنظيمي وحوكمة الهيئة. كل هذه الأمور تم دراستها وتم وضع حلول واستراتيجيات لمعالجتها. الأثر المتوقع بإذن الله سيكون هناك 8 أهداف استراتيجية. نصمم خطة استراتيجية تعتمد على نسبة الإنجاز، كذلك إنشاء إدارات جديدة وأهمها إدارة قطاع الأعمال، وكذلك إدارات ذات علاقة بحوكمة الهيئة والمخاطر والاستراتيجية. كذلك من رفع مستوى الحوكمة من خلال إنشاء إدارة متخصصة، تطوير السياسات وإجراءات المجلس واللجان والإدارات، ومراجعة وتحسين صلاحيات رئيس المجلس ورؤساء اللجان. بالنسبة لرفع جودة المكاتب، حرصنا أن نكون أيضا فقط لا نكون مراقبين ومفتشين، وإنما أيضا نساعد في تأهيل مكاتب المحاسبة الجديدة، وكذلك تأهيل المكاتب المتوسطة والصغيرة حتى تكون قادرة على مراجعة المنشآت المالية. كذلك حرصنا أن نزيد من عدد الفحص السنوي الذي تقوم به الهيئة سنويا. أيضا حرصنا على تطوير وأتممة إجراءات الفحص وتطوير جميع لوائح وآليات الفحص. الأثر المتوقع أيضا من هذه الخطوة التحول أن يكون هناك زيادة في عدد المرخصين، زيادة في عدد أعضاء الهيئة، زيادة في أعداد أعضاء الهيئة المنتسبين، وكذلك في عضوية الطلاب. أيضا هناك بإذن الله سيكون بعد اتخاذ الإجراءات اللازمة والتطوير زيادة في نسبة الحاصلين على الزمالة، وكذلك زيادة في نسبة المتقدمين لاختبار الزمالة. أيضا نحرص أن نزيد من أعداد المتدربين سنويا، كما ذكر أمس في الجلسة الحوارية أهمية تطوير التدريب، وكيف يكون التدريب طريقة لتأهيل خريجي الجامعات حتى يتمكنوا من المناصب أو الوظائف المحاسبية. أيضا حرصنا في الهيئة أن نواكب الكتب والعلم والتعليم، فحرصنا على ترجمة الكتب الحديثة التي تتكلم عن المعايير المحاسبة والمراجعة الدولية، ولله الحمد استطعنا ترجمة 7 كتب من أمهات الكتب المحاسبية والتي تدرس في كبرى جامعات العالم. بالنسبة للأثر الآخر، نحرص إن شاء الله أننا نظهر خدمات مهنية أخرى، ألا وهي مثلا إنشاء مكاتب خدمات المحاسبة، أو ما يسمى بالبوك كيبينج أو البوك كيبرز. الذي لا يستطيع الحصول على الزمالة ولا يرغب أن يكون محاسب قانوني يمكن أن يحصل على تراخيص لتقديم خدمات المحاسبة، وهو الأهم الآن حسب ما نراه حاليا، أن المملكة تحتاج عدد من المحاسبين الذين يعملون في القطاع الخاص، ونعتقد أن أخصائي فني المحاسبة سيكون هي الشهادة المهنية اللازمة لهذا الأمر. كذلك حرصنا على إنشاء أو ما يسمى أخصائي ضريبة قيمة المضافة، ونظرا لتطبيق المملكة لضريبة القيمة المضافة حرصنا أن نواكب هذا الحاجة، واستطعنا بفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن نخرج أكثر من 550 أخصائي ضريبة قيمة مضافة، وسيكون لديهم الحق أيضا في فتح مكاتب مرخصة لتقديم خدمات ضريبة القيمة المضافة. نسعى مع وزارة العمل على خلق فرص وظيفية للشباب وكذلك توطين المهنة. الآن نعمل على التأكد من مؤهلات أكثر من 120 ألف محاسب في قطاع الأعمال. هذا هو الهيكل التنظيمي الجديد. يعني لو لاحظتوا في شيء اسمه المجلس التنظيمي على اليمين شوي من عندي وعلى اليسار من عندكم. هذا المجلس التنظيمي حرصنا أن نزيد استقلالية مجلس الإدارة، بأن يكون أي أمر ذو علاقة بمراقبة جودة مكاتب المحاسبة أو جودة الأداء أن يتم من خلال المجلس التنظيمي الذي يحتوي على عضوية عدد من أعضاء المجلس الإدارة غير المحاسبين المزاولين، وإنما أيضا يضاف لهم بعض من المحاسبين القانونيين الذين لا يزاولون المهنة، حتى نعطي استقلالية أكبر وأيضا أداء أفضل وحوكمة أفضل لمجلس إدارة الهيئة. النقطة الأخيرة الهيكل التنظيمي لإدارة الهيئة كما هو أمامكم. حرصنا أن يكون هناك قطاع أعمال مستقل، أن يكون هناك انفصال بين الاختبارات وبين التدريب، حتى يمكن لاحقا بإذن الله خلال عام من الآن إنشاء المعهد التدريبي أو معهد المحاسبين لتدريب الكفاءات وتدريب الطلبة، حتى يكون مستقلا بذاته ويقدم خدمات للطلبة وخدمات لغير الطلبة أيضا المتخرجين، ويكون بإذن الله نبراس علم ومنارة علم لمهنة المحاسبة والمراجعة. أشكركم. هذه الرؤية والرسالة، لا أريد أن أطول، لكن هذه رؤيتنا ورسالتنا، ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى التوفيق، ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى الرقي لهذا البلد وبلدنا، وأن يصل إلى أعلى المستويات التقدم والازدهار.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed, for this summary of the new vision for SOCPA, which we hope it will be a very important element enabling our Vision 2030. I would like to request Dr. Noor Mazella Datu Mahzan, the Chief Executive Officer of Malaysian Institute of Accountants, to present her speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and good morning. First of all, I would like to thank the SOCPA, the Saudi Organization of Certified Public Accountants, and also my respected moderator, Dr. Muhammad, and fellow speakers. So it's very, very interesting, and I'm very impressed with the development of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I have not been in Riyadh. This is my first time, but I've been to Mecca and Medina a few times. So allow me to share what we've done in Malaysia in terms of regulating and developing the accountancy profession. The Malaysian Institute of Accountants is a statutory body that was established by virtue of the Act, Accountants Act 1967, and we are actually reporting to the Ministry of Finance. Our purpose is to deregulate and develop the accountancy profession to support economic growth and nation building. So we then came out with 4 strategic objectives. First is to ensure that the accountants or the members of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants are actually future ready and also relevant to the business and market demand. So we look at competency and capacity building. And our second objective is to nurture and ensure that the professional values and ethics of members to uphold a strong accountancy profession. And we really believe that trust and accountability is very important as underpinning values of the accountancy. Our third objective is to regulate and develop the practice of the accountancy profession consistent with global standard and best practices. So this is where we do have a very big department on surveillance and enforcement. We have a formal complaint process. We have an investigation team, disciplinary team, and disciplinary appeal board. So finally, we would like to promote the value proposition of accountancy profession to bring together the best talent to accountancy profession and to uplift the standards and receive global recognition. So, and this is actually how we actually do it. We have 4 enablers: our people and culture. We develop our own organization and bring the right working culture to 165 of our staff and to 28 committees that we have that comprise of volunteers. And we enhance our information and system technology. We have 3 years ICT plan that is aligned to our strategic objective. And we enhance the internal policies, practice, and operation, and we actually strengthen our financial stewardship. Though we are actually established under the Ministry of Finance, we do not receive any funding. So our funding is 40% from the contribution by our members and 60% actually from the trainings that we provided to our members as well as non-members. We run about 1,000 training activities in a year. So, and we actually, run the organization and strive to achieve our objectives through the resources that we have. And we actually identify and map our resources to the 6 capitals of integrated reporting framework. First that we develop is intellectual capital. The intellectual capital enables us to move into various advocacy as well as training. Second is to enhance and strengthen our human capital and culture. Third is to deploy social and relationship capital. We believe that we don't define our competitors, but we actually define all our collaborators. Therefore, we collaborate with various agencies, ministries, members, as well as international global bodies. And our manufactured capital is very small. We own 2 blocks or 2 levels of our office. And our financial capital is based on what we are entrusted to do in the Accountants Act. So based on that, we run our key business activities. For example, the membership registration and licensing. We run a proactive enforcement, surveillance, investigation, and disciplinary process. And why we are so serious about enforcement? Because we believe the underpinning value of the accountancy profession is trust. When we take away the untrusted business practices, untrusted practitioners, we are actually cleaning up the profession from malpractices. And we actually emphasize on competency development and capacity building. That is why we run about 1,000 courses in a year to actually fulfill the demands of our members who are actually in public practice, in commercial, in private, in public sector, as well as academics. And CPE is a key driver of competency development, and we have a strong advocacy for future-proofing the profession, and we have a lot of engagement and collaboration with multiple stakeholders. We also emphasize on research and development, and we work alongside the Malaysian Accountancy and Research Foundation, and recently we published a textbook, Islamic Accounting for Financial Institutions and Islamic Finance. This textbook was funded by 4 banks, and there were about 10 writers. It is actually a collaboration, and we actually give these 400 pages of textbook free to all universities and whoever would like to download and use this textbook in teaching the Islamic accounting. And we issue guidance and implementation of standards. We hosted 2 standard boards, auditing and assurance standard boards and ethics standard boards, and we have education standard board. So ethics is very much embedded in the practice and as well as our advocacy. We continuously upgrade the value proposition of membership and the accountancy profession. We work alongside the Ministry of Human Resource. We work alongside the Ministry of International Trade in supporting the service sector to contribute to the GDP of Malaysia as well as ASEAN. So service sector is becoming more important in the Southeast Asia market. It constitutes almost now about 60% of the GDP of Malaysia. And we communicate and branding management. We have a strategic branding team and communication, and we would like to ensure that our funding is actually sustainable in the long term. So this is the value that we have defined that we have created for the nation building. Larger and competent accountancy talent in the pipeline now in Malaysia. We have about 90,000 students taking accountancy at diploma level, at degree level, and professional level. And we enhance enforcement, and we would like to enhance competency of finance function and leaders in public interest entities and CFOs. We issued out the COMC framework of CFOs and the COMC framework for finance function of public listed companies. There are about 1,000 public listed companies in Malaysia, and most of the CFOs are actually a member of the institute. And we continue professional development for all stakeholders in enhancing their competency, and we continue to sign MOUs with global bodies, and we are in collaboration with many global bodies. So the other thing that we did is to upskill the academics. We run TTT, or Train for Trainers, for academics from universities, and to date I think we've run this program about more than 200, 300 of academics have attended a program, because we believe that we need to actually bridge the gap between the skill sets that has been taught in universities, and to make sure that they are able to meet what is required at professional level. And we reach the knowledge of the profession, support marketability of accountants, that they can actually go abroad to work, especially in the ASEAN. That is where we actually sign MRA within the 10 ASEAN countries. And we also uplift the recognition of MIA and the profession. And we work with global bodies such as World Bank, ADB, in our advocacy. And in order to enhance capacity, we issued out a competency framework, and the competency framework that we just issued out comprised of 3 levels: at the technician, at the middle level, as well as a chartered professional level. So this is the special focus that we have actually presented in our integrated report, with strengthening regulation and driving governance. So our proactive enforcement went out to capture those who provide accountancy services without practicing certificate. They are called bogus accountant. This is to bring trust to the profession and to bring trust to all the firms that are actually offering accountancy and auditing services. And we are striving, and we continue to put initiative in future-proofing the CFOs and finance function. We introduced a new MIA membership information system, and this is part of our 3 years technology transformation. We champion technology and driving nation building. And what we like to do is to ensure that the accountancy profession, it is relevant to the market and is growing in tandem with the change of IR, Industrial Revolution 4.0. So our plans that in 2020 is to launch the Islamic Finance Textbook, which we have launched, and to complete and launch the operationalization of MIA COMSI framework, which is in line with the latest international education standard released by IFAC in October 2019. We further would like to operationalize the MIA Digital Technology Blueprint. I will share a little bit what is MIA Digital Technology Blueprint. To advocate on the proposed amendments to the Accountants Act, we plan to change the act that has been more than 50 years to ensure that it's relevant to the current market, to strengthen our initiative against bogus accountant, and to continue our collaboration opportunities, as well as our MRA and accountancy service. And we also work on online bank confirmation platform for all the audit firms in Malaysia and all the banks in Malaysia, and we work alongside our central bank as well as all the banks in Malaysia. So that's our plans for 2020, and our membership has grown from strength to strength, and we now have about 36,629 members. And interestingly, in 2014, the number of female members has superseded the male accountants. So we have now 53% of the members of the institutes are female and 47% are actually male. So we also have, a huge interest from, the graduates, where in the university, almost 60% of the students taking accountancy are female and about 40% are male. So, and in terms of the practicing certificate, we have about 4,000 who hold our practicing certificate, and the rest are actually working in corporates, public sector, as well as academia. So our stakeholders, we engage with a lot of stakeholders from government, regulators, members, professional accountancy bodies, accountancy firms. We have about 1,500 audit firms and 1,000 non-audit firms, academics, public, global association, companies, employees, accountancy talent, media, subject matter expert, and committee and task force. One thing that is interesting, we deploy the power of volunteers. We have about 27 committees. We hosted about 27 committees comprised of volunteers. And the staff actually help in terms of research and preparing the papers for deliberation at committees. So the MIA Digital Technology Blueprint is our big agenda, the way forward. This is because we recognize that the profession needs to grow in tandem with the Industrial Revolution 4.0. And this blueprint, we would like to see that the sectors, the accountants, various sectors are aiming higher. For example, for those accountants in public practice to retain, reimagine, and innovate practices and services. The public sector to leverage on digital technology to achieve an efficient and effective public financial management. And those in commerce and industry to go through the transition to more strategic role as business advisor, and deploying these by harnessing adoption of digital technology in the finance function so that they can move away from being counting and move away from the complexity of system to become more strategic and to be the best business advisors to the CEOs and the board. And for the academics is to encourage them to equip accounting talent pipeline with the necessary skills and knowledge to understand and leverage on the global digital economic ecosystem. And what we are saying, we came up with 5 core principles. Our advice to everyone is first, get the awareness, make sure that we are aware on all the tools and technologies within the IR 4.0, and it's important to keep abreast with the knowledge because technology is moving very fast. And second, the organization must ensure that they build capacity and capabilities in the organization. For example, there has to be a team that is being nurtured to be able to run analytics and use AI. And thirdly, is to allocate enough funding, to consciously allocate funding for capacity building in the era of IR 4.0. The fourth principle is to make sure you come up with the implementation plan to harness technology. And fifth is to look into the law and regulations that may be outdated, where it may not facilitate the adoption of IR 4.0. So we actually came out with 5 working groups with a lot of volunteers, and we had many roundtables and deliberations and discussions on how we can bring the profession as well as its members to be relevant in IR 4.0. So that's basically what we're doing in Malaysian Institute of Accountants. We are very much, passionate, and we very much, we very much appreciate all the support that we receive locally, globally, as well as from our ministers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nurmazella, for this nice presentation, which I think there's a lot to learn from the experience of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants. One thing I noticed in the presentation is the number of the certified accountant, 36,000 or 37,000, which was, compared to us, we have 1,000, right? And I think that was a deep concern to the panel of Saudi officials yesterday, including our minister and chairman of SOCPA, that the limited number we have. Of course, there is an explanation, but I think from the strategic plan that Dr. Ahmed presented, we are working on this. And we might take the experience of the Malaysian Institute to see how we can improve in that area. Another area I would like to highlight is the heavy involvement of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants in the area of Islamic financial accounting standards. They have many initiatives, including hosting the advisory group of the IFRS. And I think this is going to be a common discussion issue between the 5 respected panel members, because each one of them will mention something about that. It's a unique area. Maybe IFAC involvement at this point is not very heavy into that area, but I think there's also a role in IFAC in the auditing standard and this area. This shows the necessity of interaction, coordination, dialogue between all organizations to find a best way for having accounting standards for the Islamic financial institutions, because it is becoming a major player in the finance area and the capital movement all over the world. With this, I would like to request our respected speaker, Mr. Omar Ansari, the Secretary General of AWIFI, which is the Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Finance Institutions, to present his paper. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. First of all, I would like to thank management of SOCPA for giving us an opportunity to be here today. And to be honest, I feel humbled in presence of this august panel, where I feel dwarfed. With regard to the updates, what AOFI is doing, I would just like to take you through a little bit of introduction to AOFI. And mainly I'll focus about only the accounting standards, a little bit on the auditing part. But you know that AOFI has a very diversified set of activities. But I'll try that we'll keep focused on the accounting side only in the best interest of the forum. I cannot still have it on screen, the presentation. Can anybody help? Some of you might already be aware, but for a lot of you it might be new. Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions was established in 1991. In 1992, it started functioning from Bahrain. Since then, it is headquartered in Bahrain. We started as an accounting standard and auditing standard body primarily, but now we work in 5 different areas: accounting, auditing, governance, ethics, and Sharia standards. And to be honest, Sharia standards, which started later, now are actually our flagship product. These standards are developed by 3 different boards. We have our accounting board, we have governance and ethics board, and we have the Sharia board. By now, we have around 112 standards in issue, means that obviously there were more standards issued, but some of them were superseded. So around 112 standards in all these fields, roughly 60 in Sharia, 34 in accounting. These are standards in issue. In addition to that, we develop additional, research materials. We issue a journal. We have our own fellowship programs in which we have around 1,700 fellows in around 33 countries. We have 2 fellowship programs: Certified Islamic Professional Accountant Program and Certified Sharia Advisor and Auditor Program. Coming on the focus on the accounting part, last few years have been, to be honest, very much challenging for the accounting fraternity all over the world. As Mr. Hugerwost has already mentioned, particularly the challenges were with regard to IFRS 9 and IFRS 15, IFRS 16, and IFRS 17. Similar challenges were faced by us with regard to Islamic finance. You know that we are focused on Islamic finance, but the financial services industry is impacted by most of these standards in a very significant way. So we have also not only this challenge to cope up with the pace, with what the regulators were expecting, what other standard setting bodies are doing, but to be honest, we took an inventory for ourselves and we did a comprehensive strategy exercise to assess what needs to be done. At the time when we started our accounting standard setting, IAS, at that time there were no IFRS, and IAS were not accepted globally at a level that is presented by the chairman of ISB today. And at that time there were so many challenging things, and we can say that, okay, maybe in a few things, in a few disclosures and a few things, we might be forward looking at that time. Like for example, we had a concept of investment risk reserve since beginning, while now IFRS is going towards a forward looking approach on the credit losses. But at the same time, we believe that we were needing a strategy change for certain aspects. Number one, we need to be a complementing standard setting body rather than competing body. This is a very clear strategy shift that we adopted 3-4 years back, and actually we had multiple meetings with ISB. We are part of their advisory group for or consultative group for Islamic finance. We hosted one of their outreach meeting on IFRS 9. We had specific meeting with the chairman. So the idea was that we want to be working along with other standard setting bodies, and it's not only for accounting. I can mention that even on the Islamic finance governance side, we are now working with IFSB for developing joint standards. So the idea is that we are here to support the industry and we are here to support the profession and not to create unnecessary conflicts. But yes, Islamic finance is different from conventional finance. So there are a few ideological things coming from Sharia, and there are a few characteristics of Islamic finance transaction and risk profiles which are different from the conventional institutions. So these are the areas where we have to work in a manner that we do not try to be competitive or competing with the other standard setting bodies, but we still develop the top quality standards which fulfill the requirements of Sharia at one side and are able to cope with the market demands and the market needs and are comparable to the standards set by other standard setting bodies. Last 4 years on the accounting standard side, I would say that we have been working very hard. Our accounting standard board had 16 meetings in 4 years. In those 16 meetings, they actually developed 15 standards. 7 standards are final and in issue by now. 6 standards are in exposure draft stage, and 2 standards are subject to Sharia committee review, because all our accounting standards are also reviewed by a Sharia committee of our Sharia board. So 2 standards are not issued because there are Sharia concerns in that which are being addressed by the Sharia committee. So those are not finally issued. So these 15, for developing these 15 standards, we had more than around 30 public hearings in multiple countries, and actually nearly 100 working group meetings were there. So the work that we have been doing in last several years has been on a very fast pace, but it was quite challenging. Some of the important standards we developed in between, I would like to update you on that. We developed 3 standards on Sukuk. One on the investor side, which is the update standard of our earlier standard. One for the financial reporting to the Sukuk holder, and one which is pending review by Sharia board is the the Sukuk accounting in the books of the originator. In addition, one of the most important standards was our FAS 30, which was not exactly equivalent to IFRS 9. It is actually what you would say that the provisioning and impairment part. This is for the standard is FAS 30, impairment, credit losses, and onerous commitments, which is taking care of one of the important aspects of IFRS 9. In addition to that, the standards that we have recently issued as exposure draft include one of the most important project, that was revision of our framework in line with the new strategy. So we have issued an exposure draft of our new framework, conceptual framework for financial reporting, and along with that we have issued a revised exposure draft of our financial accounting standard number 1, that is the financial reporting in the books of the of the Islamic banks and similar institutions. Other important projects include Waqf accounting, for which we have issued and obviously this is very unique, Zakah accounting. We have already have a standard, but we have revised the standard. It will be shortly issued. Waqf accounting is very complicated, so many different aspects as compared to the normal and conventional institutions. Even it's not like a normal commercial entity, it's not like a charity and normal charity entity. So there are so many challenges in developing the standard that has been issued as exposure draft. Another challenge was the comparable standard to leasing. We have issued our standard on Ijara, which is, again, as I mentioned, that we are bringing the gaps closer to IFRS. So the new leasing standard is much closer to IFRS. Still, our leases, our Ijara, Muntahiya bit-Tamlik or Ijara is not exactly as a conventional finance lease. There are so many distinguishing factors. So we cannot exactly adopt exactly the same approach. But yes, for sure, we have bridged most of the gaps, and the main accounting approaches are significantly similar. Another challenging project that we are working on right now is the Takaful project. And to be honest, insurance has been challenging, and yesterday I was talking to the chairman ISB that are you sure that you will be able to get it implemented by that date? So we are facing the same challenge, but our challenge is honestly a bit more, because the Takaful is based on cooperative principle, and there are some very distinguishing factors which cannot be comparable to the conventional institutions. Yes, we agree that IFRS 17 is applicable on the cooperative and mutual insurance as well, but the working model for Takaful might consider the Takaful part, the participants part, to be subject to that standard or similar to that standard, and the management part might still be different because of the Sharia requirements and very distinct nature of Takaful. So these are a quick, this is a quick summary of the updates that we have on our side. And just one thing I would like to thank again for the management of SAMA for giving us the opportunity here to be here with you, to share our experiences and our developments with you. And I hope that our collaboration with SOCPA, for me personally, my attachment to SOCPA is like 7-8 years old. Even before joining AOFI, I was working with them on some projects. So for me, it's like, I would say, second home. But even at AOFI level, we are very much thankful to them for the collaboration that we have extended recently. We are thankful to the Saudi Capital Market Authority in particular and SAMA. They have started supporting our activities, and we hope that we will be able to work together in bringing the Islamic finance industry and the relevant professional standards at the level that they are needed. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar Ansari from AWIFI, for presenting AWIFI efforts to develop and unify one set of standards of accounting and auditing and Sharia advisory board and other activities. The case of the need of one set of accounting standards to measure similar activities all over the world has been made by Chairman Holger Vorst very clearly. I think in this area of Islamic finance and Islamic banking, that needs to be, a lot of work needs to be done in this area, a lot of cooperation, a lot of interaction needs to be done, so because it is a fact now that capital flows all over the world, and we no luxury to have different sets of standards for similar transactions, which will cause lots of negative consequences. Shukran jazilan. I think we don't have any time left. On behalf of all the audience, I would like to thank very much the highly distinguished, highly respected members of the panel, and we thank them for their participation. We look forward for continuous support to our country in its endeavor to build one of the best accounting professions in the world, to help our Vision 2030 and to help develop our country to its heights that we are looking for. Thank you very much.
شكرا لضيوفنا الأفاضل الذين قدموا هذه الجلسة والتي كانت بعنوان الهيئات المهنية الدولية مستجدات وتطورات، وتم مناقشة في هذه الجلسة عروض تقديمية قدمتها هيئات دولية رائدة في تنظيم مهنة المحاسبة والمراجعة. ويتفضل سعادة أمين الهيئة السعودية للمحامين القانونيين الدكتور أحمد بن عبد الله المغامس بتكريم ضيوف هذه الجلسة.